Hey, everybody. Pastor Kirk here from Cole Community Church with Josh Hibbard, pastor of New City Church. And we are here today to recap and discuss a little bit about what we've been all praying for and talking about for a while, the possibility of two churches moving forward together and merging together. And so I'm just going to talk with Josh. Josh, we're going to talk and just recap a little bit about where we're up to. We had a great elders meeting this past Tuesday night, all 8 of us together, and there seemed to be a lot of synergy in our conversation and agreement overall, and so excited to talk about that. I think maybe for people, one question, and just to recap a little bit, it would be just, why again are we pursuing this merger? Like, what's the heart of it? Why did this come about? And maybe it'd be helpful to hear from you on that, and we could talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the things that we've talked about at New City, and I know, you and your background as a church planter, missionary, part of Acts 29, is we want to establish churches that are here for the long haul, that will be long-term disciple-making presences in their city, that will outlive us. And one of the things that we've kind of realized as we've assessed our churches over the last year or so is that we've come across some challenges in both of our contexts, and realized that we've needed help from each other in order to reach that goal, to be a long-term disciple-making presence in Boise and beyond, right? Because we want to plant churches, we want to see disciples made. And so when we kind of assessed where our churches were in relation to that goal, at least on the New City side, it kind of became clear, like, hey, we need to take some steps to really establish ourselves here for the long haul. And so birthed from that desire and from prayer around that, our elders were praying around that a lot, was a conversation that we had back in June about the possibility of bringing our churches together to work through the challenges that we each have. But what we saw was that our churches complemented each other really well. One church's strengths overcome another church's weaknesses, and vice versa. And so I think we're sensing that our two churches would be much better together than apart. And so that's really where the idea came from. And trying to establish one very healthy church that's here for the long haul, I think, is better than two churches that are struggling. So I'd love to hear kind of a little bit your perspective on that too, and what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think it's not just on the New City side; it's on the Cole side. I think Cole obviously had entered into this idea of revitalization already, and so was admitting that it needed help. I think that that's the first step in maybe God kind of directing us towards this would be, hey, we need some help. And I came in last year and have been teaching, preaching, trying to reform certain things, and also continuing to learn the good and valuable DNA that's been there. Yeah. And just like New City, Cole has a lot of good DNA, biblical preaching, exposition, missions, life in community, a real welcoming kind of mindset as a church. And so I think
very welcoming.
Yeah, that's what everybody, I've done these interviews with people for our Remembrance Stones videos. They've all said, man, Cole just welcomed me in. So that's been a strength. And so all that's still true, but at the end of the day, in our efforts of revitalization, I think last August, we just realized, it's great, the little steps we're taking forward, but maybe a one big bold step would be better. And I don't think we're impatient. I think we're prayerfully pursuing that. Yeah, we got together and began the conversation. So I think it is an admission on both churches' side that, hey, we have value, but we also have weakness, and we need help. And I think
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's good, and particularly. Some of those elements, maybe we could talk about that. One element, of course, is just the desire that will be taught coming up in our churches about being intergenerational. We have the desire to not just have brothers in Christ, but to have fathers and mothers, and not just to have fathers and mothers, but to have children in the Lord, so to speak. And so I think the Scripture gives a convictional reality of unity and diversity with age as well as ethnicity. And so we see that. We're very different demographically, but that could be a good thing, not just a hard thing.
Absolutely, yeah. New City has been a young church since its inception, and it's struggled to get older and have that multi-generational ministry and reach that is essential, I think, for a healthy church long term. And so our two churches merging together really helps us to become overnight a multi-generational church. So I'm personally very excited about that. Yeah, and I know a lot of people at New City are as well.
Yeah, I think that can, that can be scary too. Not everybody's
Sure,
had the older mothers and fathers in the Lord all the time, and or you can feel like, man, a lot of the energy comes from young people, and so that can be concerning to others. But I think overall, like you're saying, it should be encouraging. It should be something that that grasps our vision, because it's all throughout the Scripture, right?
Yeah.
That intergenerational community,
like just even particularly seeing it in 1 Timothy, right? So we're going to be in 1 Timothy 5 for a few weeks now, and it begins talking about relating to the older men of the church as fathers. And if you look around New City on an average Sunday, like there might be one or two men that would fall into that category, and older women as mothers. And there's a lot of brothers and sisters, which is good. Those relationships are essential. But as we're thinking about being a long-term disciple-making presence, we need to expand the generational reach that the church has, for sure. And so I think that's a big reason why we're excited about continuing these conversations.
Yeah, and also, side note, if you're young, you're getting older every day.
Every day when you wake up. Yep. I feel it a little bit every day.
So there's that, strengths, weaknesses for the merger, intergenerational community. And I think also, like, we both have staffs. Like, for me, I know the case is I'm full-time, and then I have a lot of like piecemeal part-time staff who are wonderful, great team. And I know that's kind of your situation too. So, but that's hard. Like, not having a staff team, being the one full-time person, especially as a pastor, that can be difficult. And so I think you agree that we see an opportunity there to not just like have two people, but to actually work together and have an integrated staff team.
Yeah, and I'm very excited about that. I think maybe something that the average person at one of our churches doesn't realize is the burden that a lead pastor carries week in and week out, especially in a situation where, like New City, we have one staff pastor, myself, who's full-time, and then very part-time kids, very part-time worship, very part-time admin. But one of the things that we're excited about, and really there's only so much that a church can do and accomplish in that space. And it can be very lonely. Like I think that doesn't get talked about enough. Like pastoral ministry is lonely enough, but it's even more lonely when you're not every day working with staff to accomplish the vision of the church. So one of the things that we're very excited about is the ability to bring our two staff teams together to form a more robust staff that can really serve the needs of the church and help mobilize the church for ministry long term. And so working together, collaboration that's going to strengthen not just the people on the team, but that will seep its way down into the church and serve everyone, I think, better than we're able to do apart. So
and I think I know at Cole some people had a concern because before they were quite staff heavy. I don't think we're going to be there, but I do think we'll be able to serve better. And I think the effect, again, that's maybe not something we've talked about a lot, but the effect of that will be felt in the church. Simple things like when a pastor goes on vacation, there's other pastoral cover and other things like that. And at the end of the day, one person working and then you add another full-time pastor, and that's not just like additional work, that's multiplication of work because you feed off of each other, you help each other, you encourage each other, and then that just helps everybody and helps the mission of the church to move forward. Not to be staff heavy, but to be led well, to be cared for well, to be organized well, so that the mission can kind of go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the staff doesn't replace the work and ministry of the members of the church by any stretch. But I think a healthy staff team will help to mobilize the members of the church for ministry, better than a solo pastor can. So I'm very excited about that potential and to see what God will do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we told the story before. I don't want to elongate this part of it, but I remember coming back here to the U.S. and sitting with you at Push and Pour and being, man, I really like to work together. But
that was what, 8 years ago?
That was not financially
now?
possible for either of us in that sense. So, but God knows.
That's good. That's so good.
And I like what you said about that doesn't take away from the members being involved. I think that's something we talked about the other night, where we really have a desire for every single person to find their place in this potential merger, because really it is becoming a new church. Mm-hmm. It's becoming a new church. And just like when people look for a new church, when they seek that out, they're looking for their place. And so I think what you said is important. We don't want to just say, hey, Josh and Kirk are going to come together, be pastors together. Hey, staff is going to come together. And then you all come and sit in the pews and enjoy your life.
Just observe and consume.
Of course, enjoy the Sunday gathering, worship together. But really, we're talking about being a new church together with, taking two peoples and making one people, kind of like that Ephesians, Jew and Gentile, so to speak, coming together, like to form one new body. And I think that's important that we communicate to people that this is, I think merger maybe is not the greatest word as we move forward, but hey, we're doing a new thing, a new work together, creating a new church, one from two. Does that accord with what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for us to talk about that and to maybe move past the language of merger. I think it was helpful potentially, like initially here, as we've been talking about what's going on, but maybe it's complicated things in some people's minds, because the word merger, it might mean different things to different people. And I think in a lot of cases, mergers typically are one church taking over another church. And that tends to be
absorbing.
Absorbing. And we've been really clear from the beginning that that's not what we're trying to do. I think probably the best word to describe what we're trying to do is a partnership. A partnership between two churches to come together as one church to establish a new church that will be a long-term disciple-making presence in Boise and beyond. And so, it's not quite a church plant. A church planter would laugh at, having...
I'm laughing because
you've planted
having a
church,
building and all these things, like,
a building, a staff, a budget, 250 people, on a Sunday, like that isn't a church plant per se. But it is a church plant in the sense that it is new. It's going to be new. Yes, we know a lot of people already. We know each other, but we will be working toward and casting a new vision for the church, a new DNA, new culture, things that we want to be working toward. And so now I think would be a good time for us to talk about that. I'm excited about what the plans are for this new church moving forward. And so I think let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think, and as we talk about, like, thinking of that, again, for some people, maybe that hasn't become clear enough. I think that is important to clarify. That because that's not exciting or hard just for one of these bodies, really for both. It's exciting, but it's also hard for both for different reasons. And I think that's why we've talked about we can't just say, oh, New City's joining Cole, so hey, we're Cole Community Church, or New City's coming and
taking over.
We like that name, and so we're going to call it New City. So
right. That's not what's happening. We're not taking over. Right. So I think even just from the New City side, I think we've been really trying to over communicate that. But it, even in conversations we're still having, it's taking time to sink in that we're not just moving time and a building for the sake of that or to be absorbed into Cole Community. We're partnering with the people of Cole Community to form and plant and establish a new church. And so as you were hinting at there, obviously, in order for that to happen and to happen healthily, the name of that church would not be New City Church, because then, the people of Cole Community are feeling like, oh, New City just came and took over. And the name of that church would not be Cole Community because the new people of New City would feel that way then. And so, we're excited to kind of talk about name and vision and what we're looking forward to.
And not only would people possibly feel that way, it also just wouldn't express what's really happening. Right. I think that's important too. It's like, hey, I'm big on, if we're going to do something, let it be consistent all the way through. Let's express what the reality is. Let's lead convictionally. Let's say, hey, if this is a new thing together, then let's express that. And so, Just breaking news, maybe. I mean, nothing's decided fully, but one
it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
We want to kind of share where we're at right now.
Yeah, one name we've kind of considered that would express that is the name Living Stones Church, and there's lots of reasons for that. I'll just tell my side of the story. We can talk a little bit about that, but one of the reasons is because that's that passage in 1 Peter chapter 2 actually led off this year with a message from that as kind of a vision for the church in our revitalization. Even was that passage says that you are being built up together as living stones on the foundation stone of Jesus, as the stone that was rejected that became the chief cornerstone. You're being built up as living stones together for a temple to declare the praise of God. And that has always captivated my vision of every member, every stone being important, being part of the building, being built up together. It's a community thing, being shining out the light of Jesus into the world, into the darkness. That's a missional thing. I think all of those things are true. And then,
and personally, I love the language of the fact that you are being built up into that. Right? It's the Lord's work. It's something that He is accomplishing by His Holy Spirit. And so it's not that we're passive. Obviously, we have work to do. But at the end of the day, it's the Lord's church, and He will grow and build it as He will. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, and so I preached that at the beginning of the year, but even before that, when I first got to Cole to consider revitalization, there had been some conversation about a new name at that time as a possibility. And I said from like my second staff meeting, one of our elders reminded me this past week, like, hey, I really like the name Living Stones because of 1 Peter. So, but it's not about me. It's not about just what my vision is like. I mean, you guys also went through 1 Peter, and I think that you find, like you said, that compelling as well as a vision of church overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like those were words that jumped off the page when we were going through it. I believe it was last fall. We were going through 1 and 2 Peter. So yeah, and that as we've processed as elder teams, like that's kind of been the name that's come back over and over and over again. The one that's really stuck out to all of us is something that it's not just a name, but it's actually will help build a DNA and a culture in the church for the long haul. So
there's so much there. I mean, we just Timothy talked about the church of the living God, living stones. God is alive. He's active. He's moving now. He's working now. Where are we going? How is He building? Where is He shaping? I think that's important. Yeah. That's a culture builder, so to speak. I don't think we need to go too much more in depth in that, but I think that that happens to also be the name of one of the groups that has been helping us in this process. I think that's a question that's come up, so maybe we should speak to that a little bit. A lot of people, well, not a lot, some people have asked, hey, we trust you guys, you're our elders, you're our pastors, but is there anybody helping you in this process? So, I mean, maybe we could review all of those people that are helping for people's concerns, and then talk about the other one that we're mentioning.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a question that I get asked as a pastor fairly regularly from visitors, people, exploring the church, trying to figure out if this is where, if New City was the church they want to be a part of, is like who are you networked with and partnering with, who's helping speak into the life of the church. And so not an uncommon, I think it's a good question. I think it's really important. We can share a little bit about who's been helping to speak into the into the
you were
process.
On a call this morning with the network New City is a part of.
We're part of the Acts 29 network. It's a church planting, global church planting network, and so our call this morning was just sit down for an hour and kind of listen to what was going on in the network, the things that they're excited about, and what they want to call us into participation in around church planting. And the goal in the next couple of years is to plant over 200 churches within that network and help fund those churches. So our church has been a part of Acts 29 for well over a decade now, and the pastors in our region here, Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and Idaho have been speaking into this. We've been talking, they've been asking questions and just helping guide us through that process on our side. So giving us things that we need to be thinking about. But overall, they've been super encouraged. about the vision and what we're trying to do.
That's cool. Yeah. And then, here we're sat in the podcast studio at Calvary Boise.
Yeah.
And that's the church that sent me to be a part of revitalizing Cole Community Church. And then it's more of a relational network with the lead pastor here, and then one at Trinity Boise and myself, who've known each other for a long time. But again, like you're mentioning, as I've brought the idea and the vision of merging or forming a new church together with New City, all of the feedback has been like, man, we see God's handprint on this. We see where you guys might be going. That's encouraging. And then, so there's those two kind of entities. And then there's another one. I as I considered the possibility before this, even of naming the church Living Stones, I was aware of a network called Living Stones, and actually we met at their building in Reno at the Acts 29 conference in 2018, and I was aware of them. A young man that I was in relationship with knew one of their pastors. He let me know, hey, these guys might be interested in planting a church in Boise. So because I was prayerfully considering that name, I emailed them and said, hey, I want to honor you guys. If you have a planter and you're going to plant a church, I don't want to steal your name, so to speak. And so as that was being talked about, they just said, hey, let's jump on a Zoom call. Let's talk. And I started building a relationship with them. I went to their lead pastor and wife, or not lead pastor, pastors and wives retreat last year, and I had a great time with them. I went to a cohort this earlier this year to hang out with those guys. And specifically, they have, some of them, the former pastor of the Winnemucca Church and Brad Borowski. And so anyway, all that to say, that network now we've started to relate to a little bit, and they have people in their network at leadership who have been a part of mergers and have been speaking a little bit into this situation too. So what's your experience? Has that been a good experience so far?
Yeah. I mean, it's been really life-giving. I think, again, you can feel as a pastor, you can feel pretty siloed sometimes, like you're on your own. And one of the, even though Boise's been growing, Boise's kind of on an island out in the West here, right? We're 5 hours from Salt Lake City and 10 hours from anywhere else. We're kind of on an island. And so networking with, other Acts 29 pastors can be challenging too, because we're kind of all spread out. But I think Living Stones, even though they're based out of Reno, they've got churches all over Nevada, but they stay so well connected. And so we've already been invited into bi-weekly Zoom calls to check in. How are things going at the church? How are you doing personally? How can we be of help to you? So we've been benefiting from, being in loose partnership with them. And they have a lot of experience planting churches. And successfully planting churches. That's the other thing. And so we're excited about the possibility of joining this network in, the coming year or so. If, the Lord wills and this partnership and establishment of a new church happens, we're excited about that. So they have a lot of experience helping establish healthy churches. And what it does is it really helps New City and it helps Cole Community come together as a new church, and it gives us a vision of what we want to be about. We don't have to fight over that. We don't have to debate that. As a network, they really have a built-in structure and ministry philosophy to help lead churches toward health and making disciples in their city. And so maybe we can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that one thing with that, I think, again, some people say, oh, what's this new thing? What's a network? Well, again, just to affirm, you guys have been in a network with Acts 29 for a long time,
and some other local networks as well.
And when Cole went through its more challenging years, networked with churches that would send pastors. That's how me being there also happened, and then in that sense, people maybe don't realize it, but Cole has been part of a network for the last year, and has been living that way, where there's accountability and there's conversation taking place about where is it going and how is Pastor Kirk doing and all these kind of things.
We're preaching through the same books of the Bible, with several other churches here, and working with them to kind of help formulate those sermons and get ideas from one another, refine each other's preaching. And so I think that's been highly beneficial.
Yeah, not everybody knows that. And, networks, are not the end all and be all. Some people experience them mainly as pastors, and the pastors experience that. But again, like staff, it has a knock-on effect, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It has a good effect, downhill effect to the health of the church. Like I just was with somebody from another church here in town that went through a hard time, and really. In agreement said, like, man, it would have been nice if there was a network to help in our troubles and difficulties. And I know that all of the elders at Cole have expressed, like, man, when we were going through hard times, it would have been nice to have a network. And so anyway, don't need to talk too much about that.
I mean, I could affirm that too, just to say, New City has always been a part of church networks, and we went through a really difficult season as a church back in the end of 2017 into 2018. And the network that Acts 29 that we're a part of really stepped up. Other pastors in that network stepped in to help guide us through that time. So I think networks are invaluable. Mm-hmm. That's just me, but they're not the end all be all. I think they are very, very valuable to the life and health of a church and the mission that a church is called to. So
I mean, that was a non-negotiable for me going to Cole was, hey, we need to have a network, and that is at that time, the guys I was mentioning, and then for you guys, I know that's a non-negotiable too, and so that's important.
We want to be networked. Yep.
So now we've gone off a little bit, but coming back to becoming a new church together, maybe to wrap this up. First of all, we met as elders. We all agreed to moving forward. We want to keep going forward with this progression to become a new church together. Now, we don't want to do that insensitively. We want to shepherd well. And so I think we agreed we're going to give a 30-day kind of, just like we would with elders or other things, 30-day additional feedback time from whenever this video gets to people on a Sunday or that week to the announcement on the Sunday that's made, to basically 30 days from then you can give feedback. We want to hear from you. So maybe speak to that.
Questions. So we announced this potential merger to establish a new church. We announced that at the end of January. And so it's been two months now of working through answering questions and speaking to concerns and listening to people's excitement too. It hasn't just all been questions and concerns.
No,
there's been
lots of
so much excitement and people really seeing what this new church could become. And so, we just want to take a 30-day period to very, very intentionally say we want to hear from everyone in our church. If you are a member or a regular attender of New City Church, we want to hear from you. We're going to make that easy. So our elders talked, and one of the things that we want to do is just create an online form that you can fill out, and you can let us know how you're feeling about things and what you're thinking right now.
Maybe we'll copy that.
There you go. You'll be getting a lot of emails, right? We'll just getting sent to you. But we want to make that. So we want to streamline that process and make it as easy as possible for people to give feedback. Obviously, like we're a small church, everyone has my phone number. Most people know where I live. They can stop and talk to me. But we really want to enter into a season now, 30 days of getting feedback, continuing to answer questions. And I think the important thing for us as pastors is to continue to cast the vision and share, all the ideas behind what we'd like to do and the kind of church that we want to be together. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. And so we'll be doing that moving forward. I think some practical next steps are, first of all, we've got Easter together, right?
Yep,
we've said that. Good Friday in our gospel communities. You're writing, and you and Heath are writing the liturgy for that.
Yep.
We've got sunrise service, 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. HP Field. For those that can come, obviously with kids, that's always hard, but
and
you can make that
Lord's Supper, communion will be served during that time as well. And coffee and donuts will be available. And then obviously 10 a.m. Easter Sunday.
10 a.m. together.
Big celebration.
Yeah.
And then one of the other pieces to this, typically on Easter Sunday, New City, like we've historically thrown a huge party, and big potluck, food, yard games, and just hung out for several hours and celebrated the good news of Jesus' resurrection. And so we're going to do that again, and we want to invite Cole community to be a part of that. We know
that would be amazing.
We know a lot of people have family that they're got family lunch and early dinner and that kind of thing, but we also know there's a lot of people who've moved to Boise and don't have family here for the holiday. And so our celebration potluck lunch will take place right after the worship gathering behind the building, just in the field there. And we'll hang out for a few hours and eat. And so we typically ask everyone to bring their Sunday best, or bring their Easter best. Bring your best chicken recipe. Bring your best, pie, whatever it is that you make special. Bring it to that and come celebrate with us. So we're excited for that.
Yeah. I had family plans, but now I'm wanting to change those. So we'll see what happens. But
it would be worth it.
Yeah. So we got Easter, Holy Week, and then May 18th we have another gathering together. And at that one, actually, one of the pastors from Living Stones will be there to preach, just as a guest preacher, because we think he brings a lot of value that way, and for people to get to know him a little bit. And then timeline wise, we have talked about an ideal timeline. Maybe we'll close up on this. So the ideal kind of timeline, because if, as we move forward with the feedback, as we continue to kind of do things together, what does that, do we do that forever? Do we date forever, so to speak, to use that analogy? Or when is this marriage going to happen? We've talked about an ideal timeline. What is that?
So we want to basically take the rest of April and into maybe mid-May to continue to receive feedback and gauge where everyone is on this decision. And then I think an ideal timeline would be for us to make this decision in May. And our first gathering together would be June 8th, which is Pentecost Sunday. So the day the church remembers the sending of the Holy Spirit to empower the church for mission.
Amen.
And so we think that's fitting. We think it's a very fitting Sunday. And so that Sunday would be our first Sunday together. And we all know summer in Boise is hit or miss. Church attendance is up and down. People are gone for a while and come back. And
camping, vacations, all that.
You name it. And so our plan would be essentially to try and work out a lot of the kinks of being, of being a new church together. Work all of those things out over the course of as much as we can, obviously. I want to be realistic. We'll always be working things out.
Yes.
But we're working things out, getting, kids ministry situated, our greeting situated, getting volunteers and service and our preaching schedule. Basically take the 3 months, June, July, August, to work those things out and help lay a foundation for what this church is going to look like. Cast a vision, have members meetings and things like that to really bring people into what we're trying to do. And then we would essentially call that like a soft launch. It's not fully public yet, but we're gathering together, trying to lay the groundwork. And then in the fall, probably likely September 7th, we would have what we might call a public launch. We would have our first, public Sunday to say, like, we are fully Living Stones Church, and we are open, to the public. We want to invite friends and family and coworkers and neighbors to come to that and move on from there. So that's an ideal timeline. We certainly know the Lord could change that. And we're open and submitted to whatever He wants for us. But we do have to make plans. And
man plans his ways. The Lord directs his steps. Both are important. We're going to plan our ways. We're doing that prayerfully as well. I think that everybody has seen that. We've done prayer, fasting and prayer, saying, God, your will be done, not ours. And so, that's good. So that's kind of an ideal timeline. And maybe we've talked about a lot of things in this video, but I think at the end of the day, just want to say thank you to our churches for, walking along this journey together with your pastor elder teams. We truly are, I know these men, and we would both affirm that we're sincerely just trying to follow God's will and God's direction for His church, to let the Lord build His house. And so with that, please take all these things into consideration. Please be excited about us moving forward into one new church together. And if you have feedback, if you have questions, if you have concerns, you have Josh at New City Boise, or New City?
Josh, my email. Josh at New City Boise.
NewCityBoise.com. I'm Kirk at colecommunity.org. If you want to email either of us, they'll have a form. Lord willing, we'll have a form. Anything else you want to say?
I just encourage feedback. If don't wait too long to share whether it's a concern or a question. But honestly, if you're excited about this, we want to hear about that too.
Yes.
That's
That's helpful.
Sometimes, the silence, you don't always know how to interpret that. And granted, a majority of the feedback that we've gotten has been very positive, excited to move forward. But we'd love to hear feedback from you in any avenue that you've got for that. So.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's any questions, anything that you need clarified, please reach out to us, and we'll see you in our respective churches on Sunday and then for Easter. So we're excited. God bless you guys. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks.